In today's episode, Max asks, what are your biggest tips for freelancers and agencies for getting the best results for your customers in 2019? Okay, it's a mouthful. The number one thing I see people not doing enough of, unsurprisingly, is measuring stuff. People have a tendency to simply spend all their time doing and not investing enough time and enough resources in measuring to figure out this is what really matters. The rule of thumb I've told people in the past and still holds true today is for every dollar you spend on marketing, plan to spend 25 cents on the measurement and evaluation of it. If you're going to spend 100 grand on marketing, plan to spend 25 on the measurement of it to see what worked. Will it always cost that much? Not necessarily, but you need to be able to have the resources available so that if you have to bring in expertise to get you the answers that you need, or you need to buy the tracking software or the equipment or whatever up front, you've budgeted for it. I remember I was working at doing some work at one point for a company that did they were a retail store, and they were really super insistent on wanting to know how effective was their marketing at bringing in foot traffic. And they had all these plans, like, the foot traffic was going to do this and this, but they didn't have a single foot traffic counter in the store. So they set a measurement objective, which is laudable. That's exactly what you're supposed to do, but then they didn't have any way of actually tracking it. So they had to go and buy this system with the little cameras and stuff that track where people move around in the store. And it was very, very expensive. It was much more expensive than expected it to be. Had they budgeted the 25% in order to get the equipment installed, they would have been okay. The other thing people do wrong is that measurement comes for them at the end of the process, at the end of the marketing process, at the end of the planning process. Your measurement strategy has to come up front because you need to know what you're going to measure before you run the campaign. To the example, the retail store, they wanted to measure foot traffic, but they didn't have any means of doing so. And had they solved that problem first, they would have been okay. One thing I see, again, marketers do a ton of times wrong is they will try to retroactively measure something, but they didn't have the tracking in place to measure it. From something as simple as a specific goal in Google Analytics to something as complex as a certain type of ROI, where they didn't track the investment, so they can't do the return on investment. If you don't have that measurement strategy up front, if you don't have the ability to build the infrastructure for measurement, you in many cases you cannot turn back time. Despite what Cher's song says, you cannot go back in time and retroactively measure something you were not set up to measure in the first place. So if you want to succeed in 2019, you need a measurement plan, you need a measurement goal, and you need to do it as part of your overall plan. You need to invest heavily in measurement so that you know whether you've gotten to your goal or not. There isn't much more you can do that will be more impactful in your marketing, because if you can't measure it, your marketing, you can't demonstrate its impact. You can say qualitatively, oh yeah, people loved what we had to say, or people loved our trade show booth, or people loved our thing, but if you can't quantify it, you can't accurately demonstrate its impact. So that would be my biggest tip for agencies and freelancers. It's especially important because I used to work in an agency, and measurement was always an afterthought. Measurement was something that people never put first, because for two reasons. One, it was expensive, And two, if you're not someone for whom measurement and analytics and quantitative work comes naturally, it can be intimidating. Oh, and there's one more factor. One of the reasons why some people in some agencies, I'm being very specific, it's not everyone, it's just some people, but some people don't like measurement because once you measure something, you can evaluate its effectiveness. And there are some people in the agency world who are ineffective. They don't get results, but they've managed to sort of stay under the radar because no one else is measuring, or the only form of measurement they have is qualitative, like, oh yeah, Joe's such a great guy. Joe's ROI is negative, but people like Joe, and so Joe may be able to get away with not delivering results. Once you implement a system of measurement, it becomes much harder to justify your investment in Joe as is, and Joe has to up-level his skills, or your agency or the freelancers you work with may need to change strategies about who they choose to work with. So that's the other reason why measurement sometimes doesn't rise to the top of the priority list. Again, not everyone, just some people at some places would prefer that you not shine the light of day and the light of measurement on what they're doing. So, great question, Max. As always, please leave your comments below and subscribe to the YouTube channel and the newsletter. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Want help solving your company's data, analytics, and digital marketing problems? Visit trustinsights.ai today and let us know how we can help you.